5 million marine creatures and birds die every year due to consumption of plastic. You're kind of product of your own environment.
You founded the Aeros Foundation and have taught over 2,000 kids about plastic pollution. One student even banned single-use plastics at their school.
I was able to, bring about change in students, and also they were able to bring about change in other people.
And today's guest is Haaziq. He's at UC Berkeley in his sophomore year and the founder of the Aeros Foundation.
I was first introduced to the problem at school when we were shown a bunch of documentaries looking at the impact of plastic waste on marine ecosystems. When animals and marine organisms eat plastic, they're not able to digest it, so it fills up the stomach and there's no room to eat anything else. So they feel full, but they're actually dying of starvation. And it's not just them that are being affected. Who eats the fish, right? It's us, so it comes back to us.
What's one step you can help them take today?
Just do it. Don't wait around for the perfect situation. Nobody knows what the perfect situation is, and don't be scared.
Can you tell me who helped you apply or who encouraged you to apply for TEDx? He was 10 years old, washing his hands after a soccer game, when a world-changing idea hit him. What if you could pull plastic out of the sea the same way water drains from a sink? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the AI Parenting Institute. I'm your host, Rayan Ali, and today's guest is Haaziq. That moment in 2016 when that idea came to him is what led him to invent Aeros, a ship designed to clean millions of tons of plastics from our oceans. At 11, he was giving TED Talks in New York, and by 14, he was speaking at the United Nations. And now, before hitting his 20s, he's at UC Berkeley in his sophomore year and the founder of the Aeros Foundation, the foundation that has helped teach over 2,000 kids in India and the UAE about plastic pollution. So you'd think he's done, but no. He's also building underwater drones and developing AI to predict ocean algae blooms. Haaziq, thanks so much for being here and welcome to the podcast.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here and just, to talk about just my journey. And I think also just looking at the work you've done, it's actually really cool, and just this is really great work, and I'm just really honored to be a part of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you as well. So Haaziq, take me back to 2016. You're 10 years old, just finished soccer practice, washing your hands, and suddenly you're thinking about cleaning the oceans. So tell me, what was actually going on in your head at that moment?
So the idea to kind of clean the oceans, I mean, it wasn't the thing that kind of sprung up in my head almost immediately, right? It was kind of this process, right? I was first introduced to the problem when at school when we were shown a bunch of documentaries to looking at the impact of plastic waste on marine life and marine ecosystems. And I don't think we even needed to be shown that kind of documentaries, right? It's kind of put in perspective how exactly it impacts life. But growing up in India, so I was in a rural part, more in the outskirts of the city called Pune. And so there was this really big lake, which I would always go past on the way to school. And it was really interesting to kind of see that build up over the years of trash and waste and plastic debris, right? And there's not that much efforts to clean it up, right? And so it was why isn't anybody doing something about this, right? It's a really beautiful lake, which is marred by trash. And I think when I talk about trash, it's it just looks ugly, right? But it's more than just the aesthetic, right? About 5 million marine creatures and birds die every year due to consumption of plastic. And I mean, and that is just a statistic. What kind of really horrified me was the way they die, right? When animals and marine organisms eat plastic, they're not able to digest it, so it fills up the stomach, and because of that, there's no room to eat anything else. So they feel full, but they're actually dying of starvation. That's a horrifying way to go, right? And it's not just them that are being affected. Who eats the fish, right? it's us. So it comes back to us, right? And so that problem, I started with the problem and I wanted to do something about it. And that was on my mind for a very long time. And I think the best ideas just come to you randomly when you're not thinking about it. How many times maybe this has happened to you? You're in the shower and you suddenly come up doing homework, you just suddenly come up with the answer to the problem, right? That was kind of like a similar eureka moment to me, right? Like it's something, this problem was something that was on my mind. I was really wanted to do something about it. And the whirlpool was just kind of that flash of inspiration. And I was like, hey, this is how I could actually do something about this. That was just what was going through my head. It was just kind of build up to that particular
Yeah,
moment.
exactly. You were 10 when you came up with Irvis. Most of us at 10 are just playing video games. So, what were you like as a kid? Were you the kid who was always building stuff? Or did this idea just come out of the blue to you?
I think that even when I was 10, I was also playing a bunch of video games, you know. I think video games are so fun. But I think it's also that I just realized that I just like to solve problems and just like
Mhm,
to build cool stuff, you know. Again, like I was talking about, this problem was something that a lot of people were affecting, and it was something that I really wanted to see solved, right? And not many people were doing about it, so I was like, why not just give it a crack, right?
mhm,
And so I think like it's kind of that desire to build something cool, right?
mhm,
And also combined with the desire to see some kind of change in the
mhm.
world, right? Or see some kind of change in your personal life, right?
While
I
solving the
think,
problem. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like problems, I feel like there's a lot of problems, not just like major world-ending problems or something that is affecting millions of people, right? We all face problems on like a very local scale, like
Mhm,
like problems that just even annoyances and personal grievances, right? I've always been the type of person like if I'm annoyed by something, I want to fix it. I don't want to like sit and live with that sort of thing, right?
yeah.
Like for an example, like I just recently, I don't know, this is a recent example, so that's on my head. I like this one board game I play with my friends. There's like a voting mechanism in that. There's a part of the board game where you have to like vote on some stuff, but the point of the thing is that it's supposed to be secret. Like, but that's really difficult to do with how
Mhm.
they've actually like
Design the game.
yeah, they designed the game. And so like I just went to the engineering lab and just made a like an anonymous voting machine, you know, just with electron. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere here, but you know, that's like personal annoyance, right?
Mhm.
But then, you know, that kind of like you keep building stuff until
Your problems are solved.
problems are solved, and you know, it's not doesn't matter what the problem is, whether it's ocean pollution or something very personal.
Mhm.
So I just like to solve problems. Yeah.
Your parents are both engineers, but you said they never really pushed you into STEM. So, how did they react when you told them you wanted to build a ship to clean the ocean?
My parents were super excited. Like, I've been very fortunate to have very supportive parents. I think that's something
Mhm,
that I recognize as a big blessing, you know? And unfortunately, not all parents are like that. So I was very fortunate to be in an environment, not like where my parents were able to support me. And also, you know, my dad especially was really, really, he really wanted like me to succeed, you know?
mhm,
Like when this idea started, it was helping me getting contacting like his friends who were material scientists, or connecting me with people that he just knew, you know, that you know could also he thought that would provide valuable insight to the work I was doing. And this was just even from the beginning, you know, as the project kind of scaled, he was still a really big part of kind of developing and helping like guide and supporting me throughout the whole journey. And then even my mom, she's been really supportive pillar, kind of pushing me to follow my dreams and my passion,
mhm,
you know. And also that kind of in like my mom was also the realist, the person who would like ground me, pull me back when I get too ambitious, you know, help me like look at like the big picture and like take a step back from looking at like future plans and just like, hey, where am I right now? Yeah, just being a realist, you know.
mhm.
And yeah, and then like when I set up the foundation, my parents were also very supportive, just helping me with like this legal stuff. You know, I was not old enough to like understand what to do in that area.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think yeah, and just having um that kind of guidance and that kind of support was
Mhm.
really invaluable,
Mhm.
and so and like my parents were engineers, but they never really pushed me into STEM, and because they realized that they want me, and I have a younger brother, so my younger brother is kind of the opposite of me. He's more into soccer, sports, that sort of
Athletics.
stuff. Yeah, he's an athletic. Yeah, and they've never pushed him to kind of do stuff that like he's always like they've always supported him to kind of pursue sports and pursue soccer, right?
Mhm.
Like my mom would go to his soccer practices very early in the morning every day, and so like I was just really lucky to have that environment where like I could feel supported, and even my brother could be supported in both
Mhm.
what we were both interested in.
Yeah, 100% agree with you as well. Like my family over here is supporting me with the podcast. Instead of like pushing me to only study for school, they're helping me like studying and the podcast. So they're helping me
Yeah.
like divide my work and focus on my priorities. So I'm with you and I 100% agree with supportive parents.
Yeah, it's like your environment, that
Mhm.
shapes you
It really
to who
matters.
you
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
So Haziq, you gave your first TED talk at 11 years old in New York. That's unthinkable. So, can you walk me through what the experience was actually like?
Yeah, that was one of like one of the scariest experiences, but it was also one of the most exciting experiences of my life because I mean, it was not the first time, technically the first time I did public speaking. I did a bunch of like public speaking stuff before, but I think at that scale, the pressure was high, the
Mhm.
stakes were higher.
Yeah,
But
100%.
I think the most exciting part was that there's just a bunch of people who are willing to listen to this kid just speak about what he's made, like just
Mhm.
a little child presenting excitedly. Another thing is that because it is at such a global or such a big scale, of course there was a lot of pressure. So I think obviously that kind of pressure made me really nervous, but it also kind of motivated me to work for a very, very long time, right? This was over the course of like 3 months. I was working towards, making speeches, revising it, writing, speaking to so many different people, anyone who was willing to listen.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a lot of hard work, a lot of speaking.
Mhm.
It kind of taught me resilience, and it taught me the importance of getting feedback, and the importance of starting early, going through that whole process of revision, because I realized revision is always the part where your work becomes the most effective. It's never the first draft. That the first draft's always going to be kind of. I mean, it could be good, but like it's never as good as after
The
getting
final or the
tons of
updated.
yeah, exactly after feedback, and then after like actually speaking. So yeah, it was kind of. So I remember like stopping. Like I made like a bunch of mistakes while on stage. I think like it was still like a really, really big audience, right? And I think
Mhm.
that and it was the final, like it was the thing, and even though it wasn't perfect, I think the biggest thing is that I'm still managed to get my idea out there. I was
Mhm.
still able to get people to listen, and for a brief moment at least everyone was able to understand the problem, I think.
Mhm.
And that was like the point of Eris to me. I think I even said this about this in the speech, right? Eris, and that's why the foundation started. Eris is not just the ship to clean the oceans. It's kind of like this kind of idea that, hey, like you listen to my speech and now maybe in the next day avoid using straws. Like avoid using single-use plastic straws, so you just avoid using plastic, and you're just more mindful about what kind of impact that me as a person has on the
Mhm.
on marine ecosystems, right?
Yeah.
And this was a time where it was plastic was, I mean, it was beginning to get recognition, but not as much. It was still in the process of getting there, so I wanted
Mhm.
to contribute to that sort of awareness, and help people understand. And yeah, I think it was definitely a surreal experience. And of course, again, it was not perfect. I remember my second talk, like I just stopped halfway because I think I started, like I was speaking and then I skipped the whole section of my speech. And then like midway, I realized, I was like, oh, wait a second. And so I stopped for like 10 seconds. I don't know. It felt like an eternity though. But yeah, I was like, okay, dang.
What's going on here? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, until my mind went blank, and then I had to just, stop. So I was like in full panic, but then I had to just like calm down, take a deep breath, and just start from where I stopped. I mean, the audience isn't gonna know that, hey, this guy
Yeah,
missed a whole
exactly.
section,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was still like, it's like, dang, it has to be perfect. So that's
Mhm.
why that panic kind of took over. But
Yeah.
you gotta like stop, take a deep breath, and just continue and put your best foot forward.
Mhm.
And I think I don't know, I was like walked off really fast, but like, so a lot of people really loved the idea. A lot of people came to me after this speech to talk about, hey, this is something that I also am really passionate about, and I also want to do something about it. And what happened after that is that it's how there's a different story. It's about like how the foundation started, but I was able to make that impact. Yeah.
So, Haziq, can you tell me who helped you apply or who encouraged you to apply for TEDx?
Oh, actually, I didn't really apply. So my school, like my primary and middle school, that was an amazing school. They were always, it was this sort of environment where they would push us to do something new and always have some program, and give us the platform to pursue a lot of different ideas and a lot of different problems, right? And yeah, and so in my school, they started this thing called the TED Ed Club, which is this initiative started by TED Ed. It's to introduce a lot of clubs around the world, so that students can work on their own idea and give their own mini TED talk in in front of students and in front of the school, right? And so all those talks were sent to the TED Ed headquarters in New York, and they would go through it. And fortunately, I was someone probably thought it was a very good idea, and
And you were
they
selected.
selected me.
Exactly.
Yes, it was of course a lot of luck involved in that kind of process, because there was someone there who like kind of believed in this idea and kind of believed that, hey, this is something that
Needs to be heard.
deserves to be heard and deserves to be taken to a higher level. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was just really fortunate in that regard.
Irvish started as a prototype you built in your bathtub that sank after a few seconds. So, how did you go from that failed prototype to speaking at the UN? And what kept you going even when things didn't work out?
It's actually really interesting. So the first prototype, so we used like an inflatable, like a swimming tube, and then inside of it was a bunch of stuff, and then we used like cardboard boxes from cereal, and then like yeah, it was super DIY. The main thing was like, how could we get this to kind of, and yeah, it sank. It sank really quickly in the swimming pool. Yeah, and I was like, oh dang. I was just really proud that, hey, something was built. It's not about uh, it working. It was the journey. It was the fact that I was able to take it. A lot of ideas just remain ideas, right? And I think it's so motivating to see something tangible, even if it doesn't work. See something that to the finish line, even if it sinks, you at least have something to show for it. And I think, like, even in my first TED talk, there's a bunch of photos of the first prototype. And so it's just that not giving up. And I think the it was really good to have a lot of motivation, a lot of people believing in me, and a lot of people wanting to see this idea to become a reality, right? And
Mhm.
that kind of environment really pushes you not give up, and to keep going no matter no matter what the challenges are, right? Again, you kind of the product of your own environment,
Mhm.
and having an environment where you're constantly pushed, but not like, of course, like a lot of pressure is bad, a lot of anything is bad, but I think having support and having those nudges really help you to kind of you know take your ideas to the next level and make your ideas a reality. And I think it's a gradual process, right? I didn't like wake up the next day and decide that hey, I'm going to speak in the UN, right? It was like I set up the foundation, and then I became a regional focal point for the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth, which we basically like youth representation to promote the Sustainable Development Goals. And then, hey, I was selected to speak at the high level political forum, and that happened over the course of years. And I think one thing that even I fall victim to this is that we want to see results immediately. But it's a slow and gradual process, and you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail a lot, but it's just keep doing it every day. That's the hardest part.
Mhm.
Doing it again, doing it
Consistently.
gradually. Yeah, consistency. Yeah,
Mhm.
but that's how you get there. Yeah.
Haziq, you've spoken at TED Talks multiple times, the UN, major global summits, all before turning 18. So, has been taken seriously as a kid inventor been hard? Or have adults ever dismissed you because of your age?
Oh yeah, I was definitely laughed at in many different occasions. Like social media is a Facebook and Instagram is a very unforgiving place. YouTube comments, yeah, that can be harsh, but it's like it's both a reality check, and it's also a source of motivation. It's like I want to prove those guys wrong,
Hmm.
and you gotta not let it get to you, right? There's 8 billion people in the world, so there's gonna be so many different opinions. It's gonna be so many, so yeah, you gotta just keep going, just be consistent. And that's what I did. Like I didn't really pay attention. I mean, it kind of annoyed me, but I didn't really pay attention to those. Um,
You just wanted to like prove them
to
wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, prove them wrong, and it's like I don't really think about them that much,
Hmm.
right? It's like yeah, it's good. Like I guess I want to prove them wrong, but it's like I don't want to do it for the sake of proving them wrong. I want to
There's
do
like
it
a
for the
bit of
sake of
motivation.
yeah, I want to do it for the sake of because I believe in the cause, and I believe and I want to do it, right? I And proving them wrong is a very nice byproduct of it. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, and there's always and for every troll there is, or someone who doesn't believe in you, there's gonna be someone who does, for better or for worse.
Hmm.
But yeah, you gotta find those people as well. I think that you know
Hmm.
surround yourself with people who will believe in you and who support
Hmm.
your product. And
Haziq, you founded the Aeros Foundation and have taught over 2,000 kids about plastic pollution. One student even banned single use plastics at their school. So, how did you inspire other kids to actually take action instead of just learning about the problem?
so the foundation is the thing that I'm the most proud of, because it is tangible results, and I was able to, bring about change in students, and also they were able to bring about change in other people. And it's like that chain reaction, that element of the message and the idea spreading in some capacity, but the core message staying the same, that we've got to do something to help our oceans. So like I think I mentioned this earlier, right? A lot of young students as well, especially, came up to me after my talks to kind of say that, hey, we want to do something about this problem, right? But I realized that I was very fortunate with the environment I had.
Hmm.
And a lot of it was just luck based. I was lucky to gain a platform to bring my idea to the level that it is now, to set up the foundation,
Hmm.
to speak about Airvis at global stages. And not everybody has that platform. So that's why I set up the foundation to kind of spread the word, to spread awareness about marine pollution, and also give students a platform to work on anything they want, or well, anything they want, as in to help,
Solve problems. Solve the problem.
yes, to help solve marine pollution,
Hmm.
right? To help promote ecosystems. And the reason it's like, okay, instead of just help build technology that cleans the oceans, or just we wanted to make it diverse, right? Because people are interested in many different areas.
Not just like in the ocean, like
Yeah,
many
no, I mean,
fields.
not just like, yeah, not just in STEM, but also in the humanities side. in systems designing side, right? Like we would like one student design like a um, recycling like a recycling pipeline for their building, right? And that's that's just really awesome, right? You're able to use the skill in like urban planning, urban design, being able to go out, observe how people interact with their local community and with their building, and how can we design something out of that that is sustainable, sustainable for the earth, and introduce recycling. And so that's kind of the stuff that we wanted to promote, right? So we had workshops to teach over 2,000 students about
Wow.
marine pollution, right? And then, but then we also had like more specific initiatives, like the Blue Circle initiative. The Blue Circle was an initiative that kind of select students, right? And it was giving them a platform for discussion instead of like one lecturer teaching them about, hey, this is what's happening to the oceans. It's like every session there is an expert that comes in and talks about their field of research and add perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. But it's the students, it's the students who are leading the discussion. They're talking, and it just provides this kind of this space where anybody can talk freely and give their own ideas about the topic, right? Like the circular economy was one big particular standout, but it could be about technology. It could be about how the impact of plastic on marine life.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Haziq, you shifted from hands-on environmental projects to using AI and data analysis. So tell me, what inspired the pivot, and how does tech help you scale your impact?
One particular realization I had, like I was talking a lot about marine pollution, right? But I realized that hey, there's a lot of problems that are affecting the marine ecosystems, and a lot of people, and it's related to the oceans, but it's not just pollution, right? I had the opportunity to go do research about the impact of invasive algae like sargassum in Mexico, in Quintana Roo. And that's where it kind of gave me that kind of realization that, hey, there's these kind of invisible problems everywhere, and we don't really know much about them. It was that kind of like moment all over again where I like understanding the problem, right? Like for the longest time I kind of had, assumptions about what goes on in the marine ecosystems. And it's like, that bubble about like what we know, what we don't know, and what we don't know that we don't know, that kind of bubble. My awareness bubble kind of like expanded a lot, because working with scientists, PhDs, and researchers, your perspective shifts and you realize that there's a lot we don't know. And
And you get a wider perspective.
yeah, exactly. I've always been interested in data and computer science. That was the perfect avenue to kind of use my interests and combine my interests again. And it's like, how can I use my skill set in a way to understand this problem better, right? From that research experience, I created like using NASA satellite data, created like an algorithm that looks at a bunch of features like chlorophyll levels in the ocean, temperature, precipitation, and looks at algae levels and algae blooms and algae spread, and how, and maybe like try to predict those features based on movements of those features, based on features that we just collected. And that's because there's, again, there's a lot of value to be had in those kind of prediction systems. There's not a lot of resources out there to understand the problem and also fix the problem, and understanding the problem is of course the first step to fixing it, right? Like data is kind of the future. It's, well, I say it feature, but this kind of sounds kind of cheesy. But it's like this. There's so much data around us, and it's really interesting as to how we can harness all of it. Like, it's very. It's just like this is just a little on the side, but like data is gonna be like, the next big like current. It's gonna be the next big currency, right?
And I think AI is going to help like, expand that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, AI is all just data processing. AI is just garbage in, garbage out, So how could we use, and we've been collecting data for years now, and it's all just there. So how can we use that stuff to better the understanding of the world around us? How can we model causal relationships? How can we predict? How can we infer events that might happen tomorrow based on what's happening today? I think that's a super interesting field and something that is. I mean, it's obviously gaining a lot of traction, but it still have a long way to go in understanding the world around us through that lens of our current data. So, yeah.
Balancing UC Berkeley studies and economics and CS while running Irvis sounds intense. So tell me, how do you manage your time and priorities in three simple steps?
in, in three simple. Okay, so
That's just an example. Like you could just tell us how you manage your time and priorities, but to make it shorter, like how you do that in three steps.
yeah, I mean, I guess anything could be. Well, so I think the first thing, the most important thing is to write the stuff down. If you have it all in your head, I'm still not good at time management, by the way. I'm like kind of bad at it. But the first step, what I do is write it down. That's the biggest thing, right? Write it down. And everyone will have, see, the thing about three steps is that it generalizes a lot, and like you could just go online and say, oh, better time management skills. But I like, and that's what I did for a very long time. But I realized that I am those sound like a lot of, like, everybody has their own method, and adopting someone else's method sounds like a very too much effort, basically.
Okay.
And what works for me might not work for everyone, right? So you kind of have to experiment with what works. Yeah, so what I do is, and I think generally, I think this is also, these steps are still helpful, right? Writing stuff down and
Yeah,
then
like
kind
getting
of,
everything out of your head. It's all
yeah,
like
exactly,
so
exactly.
much up there. It's better to write on
So much up
paper.
there. Right? Yeah, exactly. Write it on paper, right? And then also, like, just look at the relative priority. What's there to do? There's stuff that require immediate attention, and there's stuff that can be done later. Another
Hmm.
thing that I realized is that you could have like general goals as well, right? There's stuff like
Prioritizing like what's important in like the list form, you could say as well. So
something that, like, for example, I would do, like, hey, I want to read more books, right, in this week. So, like, one thing I'd write in, like, I used to write read more books in my to-do list, and that's not effective. So I think best way to have a time management system is to have steps down, and those steps are easily measured with attainable results. So it's like, okay, read, like, going back to the book reading example, you could say read this novel, or read a few chapters of this novel today.
to be more specific.
Yeah, being specific and being and that's really what helped me. And then another thing that I realized is that I like to put stuff off a lot. It's like hard to start stuff.
Yeah.
So I think being specific helps you get a good idea of where to begin. It's like writing an email. There's this one cartoon I used to watch, and it's called Ninjago. Really dumb, but like I just remembered it right now. It's like, never don't wait. What is it? Don't put off for tomorrow what can be done today. I know it's really basic advice, but I think it's really something that I am guilty of doing. I always put stuff off because I'm like, hey, this is a really easy task, I can just do it later.
I think everyone procrastinates a bit, you could say.
Yeah, yeah, don't procrastinate now, do it later. Do it later. Yeah, prioritize, and then just, if it's, have a good place to start, figure out what's the best place to start, and just do it. Yeah, you can put off basically anything.
For parents listening whose kids have huge, ambitious ideas, what did your parents do right that let you actually pursue this idea of yours instead of just letting it be a school project? I think, yeah, you previously answered this as well with the supportive parents that you're really grateful for. So if you could add like a little bit onto that, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was, support, and also being exposed. Like, I think the most helpful thing was being in contact and reaching out to a lot of people, right? And that was a skill that I developed through working on Irvis, but it was a skill that, was instilled into me by my parents. The way to get anything you want is to ask. So asking is its own skill and its own.
Like how to ask the right
Yeah,
question.
exactly. I think my parents how to ask the right question, and don't be afraid to ask, like
Mhm,
I think like getting over that fear of rejection.
mhm. Is a huge part.
Yeah, it's a big part. So I think that's something that my parents did right,
Mhm.
basically, like exposing me to an environment where, like, my dad is never afraid to just go up to people and just ask for stuff.
Nice.
And like I still have that fear of rejection. And my dad is like, "Oh, what are you doing? Just go ask."
And what's the worst
Just
that could happen?
yeah, exactly. The worst that could happen is they ghost you or they say no. Or yeah, and even if something does happen, it's like now you've learned something, right?
Mhm.
Like,
You learn like not to ask that question in such a way or in such a form.
yeah, a million different things, and kind of like avoids regret as well. It's like, oh, what if I had just done this?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Mhm.
don't sit there and just think of, oh, what ifs. Just do it and see what happens.
Haziq, if there's a teen or even younger who's listening right now who has a crazy idea but thinks I'm too young or nobody will take me seriously, what's one step you could help them take today?
I think, oh, this is actually a good question because I feel like every response I've had is kind of building up to this question. I think the biggest thing is to just do it and see what happens. Like a person saying, "I'm too young, no one will take me seriously." That's a what if, right? That you don't know if people are going to say that. So what if they just say, "Oh, this guy is really young and he's doing something really cool." You know?
Mhm.
There is that element, that aura you get from being super young and doing something super cool, right? So be with the right people, and then again have when in your to-do list,
Mhm.
instead of write, oh, cure cancer tomorrow, it's like make a plan and write down steps, like where can I start, and what and as step one, and what will I have to show for it at the end of that particular step.
I don't know if this is just a coincidence or you inspired by my sweater, but I think Nike can sponsor this video because just do it was your advice and so was
Just
my.
do it. Yeah, that's I mean just I've been alive 19 years, and I think that that's something. Just do it.
Mhm.
Don't wait around for something, for the perfect situation. Nobody knows what the perfect situation is. And don't be scared. Yeah, make a plan. See where something and you don't and I think another thing about the big idea is that we kind of have that grand vision in our head, and so it's difficult to start. It's like say like I want to build a video game. So how do I start? Like how do I go? It's a gradual process. Again, it's like my other answer from earlier. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to
Mhm.
start somewhere, and over time, so another skill is patience, having the patience to see that project
Mhm.
through, and that's also
Mhm.
something that's really important. But yeah, got to start somewhere.
Thank you, Haziq, for sharing your journey from being a curious kid to a global innovator. For the parents listening, supporting curiosity and courage can empower teens to build the tools and the future that they'll live in. And for the teens listening, age isn't a limit, as Haziq said, but vision, resilience, and action can all create change, just like Haziq showed us today. So, if this episode inspired you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And join us on the journey for responsible innovation here at the AI Parenting Institute. Once again, I'm Rayan, and thank you for trusting me with your time and your biggest parenting concerns. Until next time, let's keep building a future where kids don't adapt to change, they create it. Thank you, Haziq.
Thank you.